I've seen enough speakers and I've owned enough of my own businesses, failed and successful, to arrive at a point now where the wins and the championship is important, but I love to play. I just do.
Hmm.
And I
Yes.
play tennis, and I can tell when I'm in it, again, whether I'm up or not. If I'm against somebody who is equal or more loves to play, I don't care what the score is. I'm in hyper alert mode because I better, because and a turn of a dime, that thing can change. Can you relate to that?
For sure. When you said I love to play, I remember, I was working with a business coach and I came to her really frustrated. I can't remember honestly what it was about. It was like, I have to fire this employee and this, this sponsorship I thought was going to work out and it didn't. And she's like, think about like a CEO or a business owner that you admire. And I was like, Sarah Blakely, she's always the one that I love. And she's like,
No
"Do you think?"
surprise there.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, "Do you think that she's had to fire an employee?" I was like, "Yes." "Do you think that she's done a sponsorship or an advertising campaign that she lost money on?" I was like, "Yeah." These are not signs that you're not qualified. It's signs that you're playing, signs that you're in the game. And I realized like in that moment where I'm like, yeah, because I always I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel it less and less now, but I always self-employed. I started my company in college and have these dreams of like working for a corporation where they would just like wrap me in a blanket of Blue Cross Blue Shield health
Exactly
insurance and
right. I
tell
was
me what
just
I'm going to
at the
make
park.
this year. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get a parking spot, you get paid
Exactly. I'm like, they have
vacation. I've
snacks.
always
Yeah.
worked for
Yeah.
myself, so I can relate
Same.
to where,
I
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
And so, I think about that and I'm like, well, I wouldn't trade these problems for those problems.
Right.
And once I decided that this was something that was not a thing to be completed, but a game to be played, as you say, the enjoyment started happening for me. Like I always wanted to get to the bottom of the pile. How can I get the last email out of my inbox or finish the last thing on my list? And then, of course, you hit refresh and everything repopulates. And it was so frustrating because you're like, I just want to get to the bottom of the pile. Then you realize, like, the game is just the pile, it's always going to be there. And so, changing how I show up for it was different. But I love the way you're talking about, like, this is just, I like playing, I like building things, I like starting companies. And yeah,
And it's taken me personally, and it sounds like you took, it's not like instant oatmeal, or, put water in the cake mix,
right.
there's a lot along the way, and there's
It's a
something
crock pot,
next.
is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slow cook.
Yeah, slow burn, slow cook, slow flame. And then there's something next beyond, where the next iteration, whatever, call it wisdom or experience or being a veteran, a panorama that's kind of hidden from my view. I just know that there's something more there that I've yet to experience, as far as in the realm of loving the game, and, whether it's legacy or something of that ilk, that will then be more fuel and more inspiration in a whole new context, right?
It's really, yeah, it's inspiring to me. Of course, there's all the 30 under 30 lists, and I think it's amazing. I am a huge proponent of like helping young people start things. But what's I love to see is like, show me the 50 over 50, show me the 40 over 40, because
Yeah.
it shows like, man, you can pivot at any point in your
Yeah.
life. And you can, start making sourdough bread from watching a TikTok on Saturday, and a few months from now open up your own pop-up bakery at your kid's carpool line. Like there's just I think goals are great, but I think where they get in the way is it makes us feel that there's this like finite amount of options for us and there's a win or there's a lose and I did it or I didn't. When really there's just so many different winning scenarios that we don't even know exists yet.
Yeah.
And so I think we just have to not be so fixed on what's a win and what's a lose and what's right and what's wrong. I didn't even know speaking was an industry. I think I would probably say a 6-year-old kid isn't saying, I want to be a motivational speaker when I grow up.
Right.
But I'm glad that I found it.
What's your favorite thing about speaking?
I don't know if anyone's ever asked me that. I would say, you know, I'll say like probably the answer you get a lot, and then I'll say maybe the answer you don't get a lot. The answer you probably get a lot is just the ripple effect, like the DMs, the emails that, and my favorite ones are the ones that were like, you spoke 3 years ago, not you spoke 3 days ago. And those ones are really great because it's like something has been simmering for 3 years and you are now reaching out. Those
Yeah.
are really special to me. But the other thing that I find really special about speaking is these like collision points with other people that you wouldn't get on a Zoom
Mhm.
call.
Mhm.
Um, whether it's another speaker in a lineup that has become a good friend, or you're both filling up coffee at, the coffee station and you start talking about what they have going on that day. These like in-person experiences, I think don't just think, I know are becoming just increasingly more valuable the more we rely on AI and technology. Not to say that they're the enemy, but I think
Right.
that they need to be counteracted with human to human experience. And there's just these moments that, you just really can't get in a digital world that you can get in person. And that's what I love.
Yeah, I think both of those reasons are great. That slow burn, you know, that low flame in the little rice maker, that's always there and on, and it comes up at the right time, right? It becomes ready to be inhabited by whoever heard it,
Yeah.
and look, it's going to sound really corny, but part of our ethos at the Keynote Curators is we believe that speeches can change a life. And if you read that on the face, you're like, you can roll your eyes, but it's true. You speak to somebody, Jess, 3 years ago, one thing you said, with intention or not,
Really.
landed, had to work its way through, and comes out on a direct message, and you made a difference, and you stand up there, and it's just extraordinary. And from our perspective as Keynote Curators, to be a part of that and contributing factor, being the pathway, the vehicle
Mhm.
to bring speakers like you to our buyers and our clients and our customers is a real privilege. And um, thanks for sharing that, because it's really, really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I love that this is the platform that you guys are using. I mean, I think these kinds of conversations, these in-depth, sometimes hard to get that in a 30, 45 minute keynote. And so I love this model of how you all are doing it.
Well, thank you. We've been growing as well, and I'm going to sound like a copycat, but there's been a part of the journey of particularly our podcast. We do a lot of other different things, um, including a newsletter and stuff like that, where we've questioned, is this the path? Should we
Mhm.
hang it up? Is it right? Are we doing it right? And I think for us, it sounds like with you, whether it was the tragic moment of you ended up having to go to court and all this stuff, but sticking with it, because underneath it all, there was that, lack of a better word, that inspiration or that clarity around where you wanted
Mm.
to go and what you wanted to do, which is more about the playing, and the results will come, which is the difference, Jess, if I can come full circle. When you play not to lose, you're concerned. And
Mm.
when you play to win, there's no, I want to say the phrase, no consequence,
Mhm.
but obviously we're responsible.